The door hissed open at 0300 hours, and Corporal James Richards didn't even look up from his datapad. He assumed it was another maintenance drone making its rounds through the military station's residential wing. The war against the Krellian Empire had been grinding on for 3 years. And privacy had become a luxury one could afford aboard the UHSF Valor. What stumbled through his doorway was decidedly not a maintenance drone. She was tall, easily 7 feet, with skin that shimmered between violet and deep blue depending on the angle of the light. Her eyes were large and golden, with vertical pupils that contracted sharply when they met the dim glow of his desk lamp. She wore what appeared to be diplomatic robes, now torn at the shoulder, and she was breathing hard. James shot to his feet, hand instinctively moving toward the sidearm that wasn't there. He was off duty, wearing nothing but his standard-issue tank top and fatigues. "Wrong room," he said firmly, raising both hands in a non-threatening gesture. "The diplomatic quarters are 3 levels up." The alien woman's translator device, a small disc attached to her collar, crackled to life. "I know where diplomatic quarters are located. I require sanctuary." Sanctuary. James repeated the word slowly. "From what?" "From my own delegation." She moved further into the room, and the door slid shut behind her. "They intend to sign a treaty with the Krellians. They will betray your people. I cannot allow this." James felt his blood run cold. The Thallin Confederation had been the only neutral party willing to mediate peace talks. If they were compromising with the enemy, the war was essentially over. Humanity would lose. "That's a serious accusation," he said carefully. "You need to take this to command, not to some random corporal's quarters." She shook her head, the gesture surprisingly human. "Your command already knows. They believe my people's word over mine. I am one voice against many." Her golden eyes fixed on him with an intensity that made him uncomfortable. "But I have evidence. Data files. Communication logs. Proof of Krellian bribes and promises of territorial concessions. Then why come to me?" "Because this was the nearest door that opened," she admitted. "Your security protocols are less sophisticated than you believe. But also because you are nobody important. They will not search for me here." James almost laughed at the brutal honesty. "Thanks for that. I did not mean offense." She moved to his window, peering out at the stars beyond. "In my culture, being unremarkable is a survival trait. The tall flower gets cut first." He studied her for a long minute. Everything about this situation screamed trap or insanity. Yet something in her posture, the way she held herself, spoke of genuine fear mixed with determination. "What's your name?" he asked. "Kira." She turned from the window. "Kira of the Thallin Colony World Viridian. And you are James Richards, Corporal, Infantry Division 7. 3 years of service, 2 commendations for bravery, 1 demotion for insubordination. You've done your homework. Your personnel file was accessible through public records. I researched all soldiers on this level before I fled." She tilted her head. "You question authority when you believe authority is wrong. This is why I chose your door when the opportunity presented itself." James ran a hand through his short hair. "You're asking me to harbor a potential enemy asset based on claims I can't verify. I am asking you to let me prove the truth." Kira reached into her robes and produced a small data chip. "This contains everything. Give me access to a terminal in 30 minutes. That is all I require." He should report this immediately. Protocol demanded it. But James had learned during 3 years of brutal warfare that protocol and common sense didn't always align. He thought of the friends he'd lost, the colonies that had burned, the desperation that had driven humanity to accept mediation from the Thallins in the first place. "My terminal is locked down tight," he said. "Military encryption. I can bypass it." There was no arrogance in her voice, just statement of fact. Of course you can. James gestured toward his desk. 30 minutes. But I'm watching everything you do. Kira moved with fluid grace to his workstation. Her fingers, he noticed, had an extra joint that allowed for remarkable dexterity. Within seconds, she had his terminal humming to life, code scrolling across the screen faster than he could track. Your people's encryption is based on mathematical principles that assume three-dimensional thinking, she explained as she worked. Thalin minds process in 4 dimensions. We see the patterns you cannot. Must make chess boring. We do not play chess. We play Korath, which has 73 dimensions and takes approximately 12 years to complete a single game. James pulled up a chair beside her, watching streams of data flood the screen. That was a joke, I know. She glanced at him, and he could have sworn he saw amusement in those golden eyes. I was also joking. Korath only takes 3 years. Despite everything, he smiled. The data she revealed was damning. Communication logs showed Thalin diplomats receiving vast sums from Krellian sources. Territory maps displayed human colonies marked for division between Thalin and Krellian control. Worse, there were military deployment schedules, showing exactly when and where human defenses would be at their weakest during the proposed ceasefire. This goes to the Admiral, James said quietly. Right now, they will claim forgery. My people will deny everything. Kira's shoulders slumped. I have betrayed my entire civilization for nothing. Not for nothing. James stood, reaching for his comm unit. You've given us a chance. That's more than we had an hour ago. What followed was chaos. Admiral Keller arrived personally with a security detail. Kira was questioned for 6 hours straight, while technical experts verified her data. James was debriefed, investigated, and eventually cleared of any wrongdoing. The diplomatic summit was suspended. The Thalin delegation was confined to quarters while command decided their fate. Through it all, James kept thinking about the alien woman who had stumbled into his room and changed everything. 3 days later, she appeared at his door again. This time, she had permission. They have granted me asylum, Kira said, in exchange for my testimony and continued cooperation. That's good news. They have also assigned me quarters. She hesitated. On this level, 3 doors down from your room. James leaned against the doorframe. Convenient. I requested it specifically. She met his gaze directly. You trusted me when you had no reason to. You listened when others would have reported me immediately. This is uncommon. Just doing the right thing. No. Kira stepped closer. You did the difficult thing. There is a difference. She paused, seeming to gather her thoughts. I have been alone among my people for years, seeing the corruption they refused to acknowledge. I had resigned myself to isolation. But then I stumbled into the room of a human soldier who understands what it means to stand apart from the crowd. Are you saying what I think you're saying? I am saying that perhaps we stumbled into each other's lives for a reason. Her translator couldn't quite capture the emotion in her voice, but James heard it anyway. I am saying that I do not wish to be alone anymore, and I suspect you feel the same. James thought about the empty years of war, the friendships that ended in fire, the isolation of being the soldier who questioned orders while everyone else followed blindly. He thought about how this strange, brave woman had risked everything for what she believed was right. I don't know anything about Thalin courtship rituals, he admitted, and I know nothing of human ones. Kira's expression softened into something that might have been a smile. Perhaps we can learn together. I've got duty in 6 hours. Then we have 6 hours to talk. She glanced past him into his sparse quarters. May I come in? James stepped aside. You know, you never did tell me why you don't want to leave. Kira entered, her robe swirling around her. Because for the first time in years, I have found someone who sees the universe the way I do. Someone who understands that doing right is more important than being accepted. She turned to face him. That is worth holding on to. The door slid shut behind them, and for once, neither of them minded the confined space. Sometimes sanctuary isn't a place. Sometimes it's a person who understands why you can't go back to where you came from. And sometimes the most important missions begin with a wrong turn and an open door.